Well, hello there. Okay, this is one I've wanted to do since the channel started 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it's something I wanted to do when I had 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 subscribers. I wanted to create debate, as with many other things I've done already, but I would imagine this had created the fiercest debate of all. I'd probably have more people disagreeing with me than agreeing with me, but that wouldn't faze me one iota. But I read something else today somewhere, and I thought, no, I can't park it any longer. I'll speak about it today. And I'm speaking regarding a subject and regarding. I've just read a long series of tweets and responses to tweets, many of them that I don't understand. So I'm speaking as not understanding some of the things I've read, and I've read them twice, and they're simple, I would imagine, but I still don't get them. So if anybody knows where I'm going wrong, I don't mean haters, I don't mean these people that say I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm wrong, for the sake of it, just because they have one opinion and they believe everybody should have their opinion. I don't mean that. I mean if somebody can pull me up on anything I say and explain what her tweets really, really meant and why they're offensive, then I can change my opinion, and I'm happy to change my opinion. But at this stage, you see from the title what it concerns J.K. Rowling, who I don't know a lot about. I mean, I've seen 2 or 3 Harry Potter films, but only 2 or 3. I don't even know which ones I've seen. They're pretty good in their own way, but I'm a bloke in my 60s, so you know that fantasy and all that palaver isn't necessarily for me, but I know they're pretty good and they've been well acted and they've had some great British stars in them. And they've had some stars that were unknown children that the films have made into stars, and for that I think they should be very thankful for J.K. Rowling. What they've actually done when the stuff has hit the fan is they've actually gone against J.K. Rowling and gone firmly in the camp of the haters and those that are absolutely adamant that their way is the right way and no one else should have an opinion or a voice, which I find disappointing, and I'd like to say surprising, but in this day and age it's not surprising, because that's what people do. People always go to what is PC and what is right, and they go to the ones that throw in the most mud, because if they don't go in that camp, they'll get mud thrown at themselves, and they don't want that. Nobody wants confrontation or grief, do they? So they take the easy option, even though it means biting the hand that fed you. So if I've got this right, and I might not have it right, the first time Mrs. Rowling came into the public consciousness for all this gender and transgender and everything along with that, and all the problems that she's faced since first voicing an opinion, she's seen something somewhere and it mentioned people who, is it menstruate? I mean, that's how thick I am, I don't even know the word, I know what it means. But I thought the only people that menstruated were women. I didn't think men did. I'm pretty sure men still don't do it. So I think all JK was saying was, can we not put women on there as opposed to people? Because they are actually women. It's women who do that. Now, people who have changed the sex from male to female or vice versa or whatever it may be, if a gentleman changes his sex, is it transgender, goes the other way and decides to become a transgender, either by just wearing a frock or going further than that and having operations done to try to become a fully fledged woman, I still wouldn't imagine, and I might be wrong, I mean, I'm no biologist, but I wouldn't imagine, even if they have operations done and maybe things locked off and things constructed, I wouldn't imagine that once a month they end up menstruating? See, I don't know, I'm thick. I wouldn't imagine that happens to them. If it does, please correct me. If it doesn't, and that only happens to women, what on earth did J.K. Rowling say wrong there? You know, it's like these people that we've got now. We've got people out there now, people in the media. One day they Janet, one day they John. They want us to call them Janet or John, depending on how they get out of bed that morning. Some of them want to be called, is it them or they? Well, that's all well and good if they want to be called all these things, but at the end of the day, isn't it up to us people, the ones that possibly knew them, or know them, or grew up with them? Isn't it up to ourselves what we call them? if we don't know them, and we feel uncomfortable maybe using a lady's name if to all intents and purposes it looks like a man, or vice versa, isn't that up to us? The them, they and all these crazy things, who can make anybody tell somebody that you must, what's the word it's not called, say, to address people in a them or a they? When I grew up, there was no thems or theys. It was Mr. or Mrs. So can't we stick to that if we want to? What's wrong with being how we've always been and being taught a path and taught a way and following that way of that path? I've got no problem with somebody changing sex, none at all. I've got no problem with anybody wearing a dress, none at all. Anybody and everybody can be what they want to be. And they can have an opinion on anything and everything. I don't like these people that have an opinion for those people, i.e. these activists, not these people that are they transgender, I'm guessing themselves, that are speaking for the transgender community, because normally the ones that are speaking for them are the ones that have got all this nastiness inside them. Is it vitriol? And they want to cause grief, and they want to, did they call it cancel people, these new young uns today? I don't know all these terminologies, but I think they do. Is that what they want to do to people? Turn people against people and have people just brushed aside and forgotten about? Surely that's not right. Surely that's not right. Surely everybody can have an opinion. But as I put in an earlier video, in an earlier post, and I believe in this, I mean, you've got those people now throughout the world, as I say, that are having children. I'm guessing it's the woman that has the child. I'm guessing unless things have changed there. I'm guessing they don't only menstruate. I guess they also have children. Women. I don't think men have them, but women who were probably born as women, I would guess. I think it's only women who were born as women who can have children. But again, I might be wrong. But you've got women having children, and they might have a male partner. They might have a female partner. They might have a trans partner. They might have any old partner. I don't know. And as I say, on a Monday, they're dressing them as Janet and calling them Janet, and on a Tuesday, they're dressing them as John and calling. I'm just saying Janet and John because I remember the books from when I was a kid. See, things have changed from when I was a kid. From when I was a kid, things were black and white. They're not black and white anymore. But on a Monday, they're Janet. Or was it? Did I get that mixed up? Well, let's start again. Monday, they're Janet. Tuesday, they're John. Wednesday, they're Janet. Tuesday, they're John. Thursday, the no, is it Monday, Tuesday? Friday, the Janet. Saturday, the John. Sunday, that's an odd day. We'll call it Ron. I don't know. But I don't get it. And what amazes me is how would any mother and father in the right mind put a young boy or a young girl through this? As I said at the time, if you're born with a pecker, you're a John. If you're born without, you're a Janet. If when you get older, of your own accord and with no outside influences at all, from friends, relations, classmates, or these people with these websites that are trying to get people to, or telling people they're something else without them knowing themselves, or trying to get them to be forced into changing genders or having operations, if of their own accord at a sensible age, probably 13, 14, 15, 16, they decide that they were male and now they're female, or they were female and now they're male, or want to be, then fine. Let them do what they want to do. Again, as I said, don't teach them these things in school at 6, 7, 8 and 9 because they don't know whether they're coming or going. You know, but certainly don't bring them up from being a month or two old as boy day 1 and girl day 2 and vice versa. I mean, they're born one way, that's the way they are. And if down the line they want to change, let them change. You know, I don't get it. I mean, I'll give you a quick story. We have two very, very good friends. Very, very, very good friends. A boy and a girl, they're married. They move in a lot of circles with homosexual men and lesbian women. More homosexual men, but both. They may know a few transgenders. I don't know about that. And I've moved in the circles with them from time to time, but not as often. I'm out with them and you know, we go in certain public houses where they're frequented by many people that aren't 100% straight, which, is, as I say, is fine. I've got no problem with. they've got a friend there. Let's call the friend. He is male. I think in the daytime he's male, but at night time I think he puts on a frock and makeup and whatever else. And let's say he calls himself, let's say his name in the daytime, I don't even know his name to be honest with you. Let's say we won't go Janet and John again. Yeah, we'll go Janet and John. Let's say his name's John. At night time, or at least weekends, it's Janet. But they don't call him Janet, they call him Miss Janet. Which is fine, that's the name that he uses. Now, this is probably where I'm wrong, and I don't mind admitting it if I'm wrong, but it just, if something sits right with me, it sits right with me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't think I've ever called this person Miss Janet. I don't think I've ever called this person Janet. But maybe at a push, I would call this person Janet. Maybe, I don't know. I spoke to this person once or twice and just in passing. I definitely wouldn't call him, or her if it's a her at night time, Miss Janet. And the reason I wouldn't is, I've never grew up with a Miss Janet, a Miss Sarah, a Miss Julie, a Miss this, a Miss that. They've always never had the Miss. So the Miss to me is alien. Now, that might be like a stage name, because I believe this person does a bit of, it might be DJing or something, so it might be a stage name. So maybe that's more like role play, but then again, role play. I won't go down that rabbit hole now. That's for another thing. In fact, no, it's not. I've got a wife and 3 kids. Now we'll leave role play. We'll park that bus completely. But I'd never probably bring myself to call him whatever Miss something. I might use the name they use, but and that's weird of me probably, and that's probably where I'm wrong, and maybe I would have been brought up. Now if this person was wearing a dress and was made up and looked very, very, very much like a woman, and maybe even sounded like a woman, then I would probably call this person Janet. I definitely wouldn't do the Miss still, but I'd call this person Janet. And to be honest with you, even if I knew this person was really John in his real life, I still may call this person Janet if the person looked really, really, really like a woman and maybe sounded like a woman. This other person, from what I remember, doesn't. So maybe that's me, maybe I'm wrong then. If I am, then fine, I'm sorry about that. You know, I don't mean to be, but that's just the way that I am, that's just me, and we're all different. And I'm allowed to be what I want to be and to have an opinion. And so are you, whoever you might be. And so is old JK. I don't think she's said or done anything wrong. And a couple of other people have had a pop at her. I should have wrote them down, and I don't want to put the bins on and start reading things. But she said a few other things in tweets. But I looked at them and I thought, none of them were offensive. None of them were bad. I mean, she says she's got empathy with trans people. She cares about trans people. She always has done. She's got friends that are gay and lesbian and trans and everything else. She's got no problem with all of those. What she cares about, I think what she's mentioned, is there's a percentage of people that are here to harm trans people and here to harm women. When I say trans people, those that are, I think she means there to harm women, and some trans people that really probably are men that is it identifying, do they say, as women or dressed as women or maybe whatever it may be, but still men behind it all and causing grief to women. You might have seen the post I did earlier on this week about the well, you've not done, nobody's watched it. I cannot believe it, because I think it's really good and it's something people should see, about the MP from Westminster who went in the toilet with a trans person. People should see that. I just think it's shocking and it's wrong. The same way I've mentioned, I think, changing rooms, and how I know a lot of women are really, really unhappy that now there's many men going in changing rooms, the same men. Again, they're dressed as women, but they may look and may sound like men. They're dressed as women, and I don't think they've had operations done. Not that that changes things, but maybe it does a little bit in my eyes. And they just feel very, very threatened, because I think some are going in for the wrong reasons. Some of these men dressed as women. Some of them really aren't. Some of them want to be women and trying to be women, and there's no harm to them. But with a certain amount, there is still harm with them. It's like the guy that got arrested in, was it Scotland lately, dressing as a woman and identifying as a woman, but he'd recently, had he raped 2 women, I think. So he'd raped 2 women, then he's identifying as a woman and dressing as a woman, and he's hoping to get let off because he's a woman really, and he's gone through lots of pain and anguish because he's changing from man to woman. Now what I thought, I think I'm right with all of that. I mean, what I thought about that, I mean, I thought the whole thing was shocking. Not just that he raped people, but when it went to court, say his name's Harry or Larry, in court they're calling him Julie, or whatever his new name is. Her new name is, the new name is. But the thing is, when he raped him, he was a man, or as a man, he's called Harry or Larry. Well, he's raped them. Women don't tend to rape women. Women have nothing. I can't say it's too graphic. He's raped her, and he, as a man, using something that a man possesses. Now, if he's Harry or Larry or whatever it is, when he's raped them people, he shouldn't go to court as Jane or Julie or Janet. He should go as Harry or Larry, because he raped him as Harry or Larry. I mean, I don't agree with that, but I would love to know what J.K. Rowling has done wrong, and I'd love to hear, really, ideally, from proper, when I say proper, trans people that have changed, are changing from man to woman or woman to man, or that have changed, ones that have had operations and ones that haven't had operations, not the people that speak on behalf of trans people, because they're the people that pile on everybody, and those people don't mean anything to me, because they've got a hate and a vitriol about them, and they just want to turn people against people. And that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help straight people. It certainly, in my eyes, doesn't help trans people at all. But what I will say is, and I'll look at Robbie Coltrane, he backed her, J.K. Rowling, didn't he? Said she's not that kind of person. Hats off to Robbie. It's a shame he's not here anymore. Jim Broadbent backed her. Well, I love Jim Broadbent. I'd have expected nothing else. What a superstar he is. What an actor. What a man. And Helena Bonham Carter backed her. I don't particularly like Helena Bonham Carter. Don't particularly follow her, although I know she's a good actress, but maybe she's a bit dotty and a bit off the wall for me. Having said that, Helena, I seen you in Nolly, and it was very good. I really enjoyed it. But let me know what you think. Let me know what J.K. Rowling has really done wrong, because I don't know that she has. And I'll leave you with one last thing now it comes to mind. I know a person, a lady, of a certain age. When I say a certain age, she's at least 10 years older than me, and as I say, I'm in my 60s. And she said to me only a few weeks ago, she said, "Do you know what, Dave?" She said, "Do you know how old I was before I knew about lesbians and knew lesbians existed?" I said, "No, how long?" "How old, sorry?" I think she said 41 or 42. And that made me think, because when I grew up, there was men, there was women. When I got to about 9 or 10, we heard that there were gay people, men, and we laughed and joked about it and whatever else, and it was all like something we shouldn't know about. I don't mean laughed and joked, it was like something we shouldn't know about. And then when I was probably 11 or 12, we heard that there were lesbians, and we laughed and joked in different ways about that. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I won't go into what I mean, but I don't mean either in a bad way. So at 11 and 12, we heard that there was lesbians. As I got older, probably 16, 17, 18, bisexual came up, and we knew what bisexual was. Maybe a bit after that, even, to be honest with you. And that was it. You was man, you was woman, and you liked, a man liked a woman liked a man. But in a few instances, people of the same sex looks like one another. And then further down the line, we heard. But now, I read something only 18 months ago now, and I read something about all the different, is it sexual orientations, all the different genders out there, or the names for all these people and all the different sexual preferences, and there was about 20, 25 different, and I thought, where's all that come from? And I read them all, and I read what they all were, and I thought, if you say 25, I knew of about 8 of them. 17 of them I'd never heard of before. And I'm thinking, is it any wonder old dodderers like me are always getting into trouble and always being told we're saying the wrong thing and thinking the wrong thing, when there's this many things happening out there that we don't know about? But then again, should we be getting into trouble off these people? Because it's all these people that's speaking on behalf of these communities, as I say, and their aim is just to really, really be nasty to people and upset people and whatever else. As I say, and I've said it before, I said it in my intro video and I'll say it again, I do not care what age you are. I do not care what country you come from. I do not care what colour of skin you may have. I do not care what gender you may be. I do not care about your sexual orientation. I do not care what politics you follow. I do not care what religion you are, if you're religious at all. None of it matters to me. None of it. But what I care about is when people tell others what they've got to think and what they've got to say and how they've got to feel. And when people have a pop at others for just having an opinion, especially when the opinion's meant with no nastiness and no malice and no bad feeling. And from what I can see about the J.K. Rowling stuff, I don't see anything really, really, really bad in there. But if there is anything bad in there, someone tell me in the comments and tell me the bit that I don't understand. And if I understand it and you can make me see me out of my ways, I'll also go against J.K. Rowling. But I won't hate her as some do. But what I will say is, were I one of those young actors or actors that were brought into her films, plucked from obscurity and made absolutely millions, there's no way on God's green earth I would have said some of the things that some of those people have said about her and jumped against her so quickly and so easily. Because unless that is she said anything really bad or anything nasty, and I don't think she has. But as I say, if I'm wrong, let me know. Just please let me know, because I'd love to know where I'm going wrong. But don't come from it from a point of hate or a point of nastiness unless you can explain to me what I don't get. And there may be things I don't get because I'm not the cleverest guy in the world, and I don't mind admitting that. But I've read and reread the tweets, and I thought, what bad has she put there? What bad has she said? There's at no point has she mentioned she doesn't like gay or doesn't like lesbian or doesn't like trans or doesn't. I mean, it all started on that one tweet she made where the person said people who... It's like this, and I know I'm going on, it's like this, again, that I'm reading about somebody saying man of the match. I mean, I read last night in the news somewhere this Richard Keys, who I don't listen to and I don't like and I don't trust as far as I can throw him, saying that he believes Graham Souness lost his job for that comment months ago where he said, I'm glad to see you're not rolling around, you're playing it like men, it's a men's game after all, blah, 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 blah. Well, that got me in all the trouble in the world. And now people are speculating he's lost his job over that. If he has, absolute shame on Sky, and I mean shame on them. And the fact that he even apologised for himself, I find... I'd never apologise for myself if I'd have said that. It didn't matter how I profiled my job was, it didn't matter what I was earning, because he's not meant that in a bad way whatsoever. But what he's saying is, he's probably thinking men started playing football before anybody else, and they did. But what he means is that day when they're playing, it's men playing men, men against men. They're playing it like men, as in not being baby-like and rolling around and pretending that they're hurt, because that's happening more and more in football in this country at the moment, and it is. And that's all he said. He's got no problem with women playing football. He's got no problem with the fact that the women don't have the same maybe strength and stamina and resolution as men. He's got a problem with men diving all around and pretending they're hurt and acting like babies. You know, that's the problem he's got. You know, it's like now that they don't offer now man of the match, it's person of the match. Again, as I said in one of my past videos, I will never, ever, for as long as I'm on this planet, say person of the match. If men are playing men, I'll say man of the match. If women are playing women, I'll still probably say man of the match because it's always been the term. But if people say I'm really, 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 really wrong and I have to change my terminology, I might say woman of the match because it's women playing women. I'm definitely not going to say person of the match. What an absolute crock of person of the match. It's just pathetic. And that's people again telling us what we have to say, what we can say, what we should say. And if we don't say it, they're going to turn on us. Well, let them turn. Well, Jesus. Honestly, it beggars belief. I'm baffled by the whole scenario and situation, and it's... Anyway, J.K. Rowling, I don't think you've done a lot wrong, but if somebody will tell me you have and explain why you have and explain it in layman's terms and terms I can understand, I'm prepared to be swayed the other way. But until somebody can do that, I don't think you've done anything wrong, love. I really don't. Anyway, that's it from me. It's a long one. I'm sorry I've ranted, but that's it from me.